Good morning, everybody. My name is Carlin Stewart. I'm the instructional coordinator here at Los Luceros. I'm going to go ahead and take off my mask because we are still closed to the public and do not open for another, half an hour. So this way you can easily understand me. Hopefully, I just got braces, so I'm going to try my best to enunciate for you guys. But I'm out here today standing in front of the Acequia Madre. And if you caught my live stream a couple weeks ago, I briefly talked about it a little bit, but at the time it wasn't running, and now it is. So I wanted to just give a short little talk about the history of the Acequia Madre and also how it is used today at Los Luceros Historic Site. So as you guys are tuning in, go ahead and type in the comments where you are streaming from, because I love knowing that I'm talking to people all across the United States and not just in New Mexico. That's just really fun to find out. So go ahead and tell me where you're streaming from this morning. Again, my name is Carly and I am here at the Acequia Madre at Los Luceros Historic Site. Los Luceros is located in northern New Mexico. We are actually the northernmost historic site in New Mexico. And we are near Española, which is north of Santa Fe. So we're pretty far up there. So I am going to go ahead and jump into the history of this amazing place. And I have a fun selfie stick, which I've never used before. So I'm really becoming full millennial here. So you guys are going to have to let me know if it's more or less stable than when I just hold the phone. So I'm going to turn this camera around and show you the Acequia Madre. There we go. So right now I am standing on the bridge at Los Luceros, which many people just drive over and don't understand the full history of this amazing place and this Asekiah. And so I want to focus just on this today, but you have to know a little bit of background of the area. So Los Luceros Historic Site is located on land that once that belongs to the Tewa-speaking people. And there is a pueblo, Fioge, which is located very near to us. And so all of this land was once owned, maintained, lived upon by the indigenous people. And so in the 1700s, when Sebastian Martin came in, he got a land grant that was 51,000 acres in New Mexico. Now, this is not the largest land grant in New Mexico, but that's pretty sizable, especially given the fact that Los Luceros today is only 148 acres. And of course, I say only in the context of 51,000, but 148 is a pretty sizable site here. Now, when Sebastian Martin came in, the land was usurped from the Tewa-speaking people. And the interesting part about this Acequia and how it relates to that is that Sebastian Martin actually exchanged labor for returned usurped land. So basically, the land was usurped from the Tewa-speaking people, and then he gave the land back in exchange for these indigenous people building this ditch, which is kind of rare in New Mexico. Apparently, it's pretty unheard of that the land was, returned in this manner. So this was constructed in the 1700s. And as you can see, it is very wide. And, some of it did get wider over time because, of course, water erodes and you have to keep, digging it out and reshaping it over the years. But this is a mother Acequia. So that means, it is the Acequia which all of our what is called laterals comes off of. And so thank you all for just joining me. You can go ahead if you have questions, put them in the comments. I will try to answer them. And if not, I will get to them at the end and can comment back to you. And again, just tell me where you're from. That's always exciting for me. So this Acequia diverts water from 3 miles upstream from the Rio Grande. And so where we're standing here, it goes 3 miles that way, connects to the Rio Grande, flows this way, and then goes 2 more miles that way south. And And all of the water that is not used by the people of this land, by the farmers, is returned to the Rio Grande. So it is important to note that, of course, the Tewa people used irrigation systems before the arrival of the Spanish colonists. There's, all kinds of farming has taken place at this site for hundreds of years. And I think that is something that is so unique about Los Luceros, is that hundreds and hundreds of years consecutively, farming has occurred on this land, which is pretty incredible. Not a lot of places can say that, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, farming took place right here. And of course, it started with the three sisters: corns, beans, squash, amaranth, cotton. Those type of things were grown by the indigenous people here. And then more crops were brought in. And we actually at Los Luceros just got a seed grant from Native Seed Search down in Tucson, Arizona, where I'm from. And we are going to construct a interpretive garden with those crops and other crops, chile, beans, things that were brought in as well, but have been a part of this land for hundreds of years. And so today I am going to take you guys on a quick walk down to the head gate, what is called the head gate. And it is important that, a lot of the viewers today I can see are not from New Mexico. And so I want to make sure that you guys understand that this Asekiah system is very important to the culture of New Mexico. And that's something that's interesting, is that, this land has been irrigated for hundreds of years, and, all of the Southwest, of course, for farming, but it wasn't always cooperative. Oftentimes there were groups in charge of the water, that kind of thing. But the Acequia system here in northern New Mexico is very cooperative. It's very much a community effort where people go through and clean it together. And so right now I am walking you up to a head gate. Hopefully you can hear me over this crunching. And so how the system works is, again, like I said, the water is brought from the Rio Grande, and then we have head gates along this. This is what a head gate looks like. And basically it's a piece of metal that goes down there, and you can open it up with what is called a key. Now a key is a round, it's round, and it looks kind of like a wheel, and it sits right on top here. And then you crank it open, it opens up the metal flap, and then water goes into what are called laterals. And so we are still working on cleaning up our laterals. You have to do this consistently and constantly. They, grow weeds and all kinds of stuff that you have to always fix and clean. And so the Acequia Madre is cleaned by a group of people, or usually by each individual landowner along the Acequia. So you make sure that you clean your part so that, the rest of the system is used by your neighbors. Because, if you don't clean it out, then downstream, they don't get any of the water, and that's not good. So the water comes out of these laterals, and it's a little hard to see, but it goes along this line and goes out into the fields. And so that is what laterals are, is they are chutes that come off little ditches that bring the water out to our fields. Now here at Los Luceros, we grow a few things. And I really want to talk about that because it's amazing that we still use this hundreds and hundreds of year old Acequia system today to thrive, to survive on. So this water right here actually waters the orchards that we have here. If you haven't been to Los Luceros, especially during the fall and during the fall harvest, we have acres of apple trees here. And we have Golden Delicious, Red Delicious, and Wine Sap apples. And so those apples are typically, used by the people, the visitors that come here, you guys, during the fall harvest. We come out and everybody as a family picks apples, and it's pretty incredible. And so that is one thing that the Acequia Madre allows to happen, is that we have the water to feed those apples, to water them and make them thrive. And the cool thing now is we have a crew pruning the apple trees right now, and so they're going to, really thrive this year, which is great, and for years to come. So the next thing that the Acequia helps us do here is we have fields of alfalfa. Now, alfalfa does use a lot of water, and I did have a question about that one time, is why do we grow that if it uses so much water? Well, alfalfa is actually a really significant part of Los Luceros and has been for hundreds of years. So Los Luceros is thought to be one of the first places, at least in New Mexico, maybe even the Southwest, where alfalfa was brought to. And so the alfalfa here has been here for a very long time. But not only is it like important because it's always been here, but it is important because it feeds our animals. And so the water from the Acequia waters the fields, and then the fields grow the alfalfa, and the sheep eat the alfalfa. We have churro sheep here, some goats, a burro, and chickens. And so it's all part of this connected system. But not only that, the alfalfa provides habitat for critters of all varieties, right? There's mice, and the owls eat the mice in the field, and the birds, the pollinators, bees, butterflies, all that kind of stuff live in the alfalfa field. So it provides a really nice habitat for them. And so just showing you this Acequia again to get it off my face. There you go. Very beautiful today. And so the alfalfa provides the habitat for those animals, and then other animals benefit from that, right? Like I said, the birds of prey, the owls eat the mice, the birds eat the bugs that like the alfalfa. And then our sheep and goats love to eat the alfalfa as well. And so it's really a self-sustaining system that we have here at Los Luceros. So we are able to provide food for our own animals here. But I saw something really cool the other day, and I realized how much further this system is integrated here. I'm trying to get the camera back on me. There we go. And so I saw something the other day that was spectacular. I found a bird's nest. I believe it was a hummingbird's nest that was on one of our rose bushes. And it had goat fur and sheep wool in the nest. And so I started thinking, like, the connections of nature and culture here are much further than I ever thought they would be. So the water from the Acequia waters the alfalfa. The alfalfa gets eaten by the goats and the sheep. And then their wool and fur gets used in birds' nests to build their nests. Like, crazy connections, really amazing. And so that is one of our interpretive themes here at Los Luceros, is how do culture and nature connect here? And there are so many ways. Because yes, this Acequia right behind me, thanks selfie stick, was constructed by humans, but it is now a complete ecosystem all by itself, right? These 100-year-old cottonwood trees, which I'm standing under, there we go. You can see how massive these trees are. These trees are growing along this Acequia because it is a consistent source of water for them. And so by the size of these cottonwoods, you can kind of think about how old this Acequia is, because these trees are growing right along it. So the cottonwoods are part of that ecosystem. You know, people always see like crawdads or crustaceans, whatever you want to call them, swimming in the Acequias. And so it really became its own little system here, which is pretty spectacular. So again, just that connection between culture, and it has such a strong history of being here and people working on it, maintaining it for hundreds of years. And like I said, a couple weeks ago, if you saw that live stream, Maria Chabot, who was a land manager here, she was a woman land manager in the 30s and 40s. She was the El Presidente of the Acequia Association. And so like I mentioned the last time, you know, she was in charge of like hundreds of men that were here cleaning, which is pretty cool for the times, of course, her being a woman. And so just this Acequia alone, you could talk for like an hour on the stories and the history and all the people it is connected to. And that is something that is really important to take away, is not only are you connected to people through time, through those hundreds of years, but Also to your neighbors. Everybody uses this ditch. It is a community effort to keep it clean, to keep it going, keep it running. And so that is really important. It's just those connections to people. And so I think that's about all I wanted to talk to you about. I'm checking my notes real quick. Yes, and so the you know, like I said, it feeds the orchard, or sorry, waters the orchard, waters the alfalfa fields, but also the cottonwoods here benefit from this water. And we have other fruit trees along the property as well. A random couple pears. I saw apricots, I think plums. And so a lot of different fruits and stuff benefit from this. And this past year, since we were not able to have our fall harvest in person, we were able to donate pounds and pounds and pounds of apples to local communities, which is pretty spectacular. So, you know, water is always a contentious issue, especially in the Southwest and especially during a drought. And so I really thought it was important for you guys to understand that we are using this water in the best way possible. We are self-sustaining. You know, this alfalfa feeds our own animals. The animals here are used for interpretation. Their wool is made in nests. Like, this connected cycle that has been hundreds of years in the making is still happening right here. And so when you come and visit Los Luceros, which you absolutely should, especially now that it's spring and it is about to be so beautiful, you guys, the apple orchard blossoms. And I've mentioned this before on social media, but one of our volunteers says it looks like a Van Gogh painting. Spectacular. So I highly recommend visiting. And when you do, just acknowledge the fact that you are standing on years and years of history, and this land has connected to hundreds of people. So I just wanted to give a couple shout outs. Hello, Yvonne from Ohio, but born in Albuquerque. Awesome. I went to college in Albuquerque. Joyce from Baltimore, Clara from LA. We have Linda from El Reno, Oklahoma. Chad commented. We have Barb from Oregon. Colorado, California. Like, this is amazing, you guys. And look, there's more connections. We are all over the United States right now, connecting with each other at this special place. And so that's really the highlight of my job, is connecting different people to the spaces here. Yeah, you know, we also hope that we can have the Harvest Festival this year. Of course, things are still up in the air with events and stuff like that, but it is a magical, magical time. And so, yeah, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed this little talk, little history. If you have comments or questions and you think of things, go ahead and put them in the comments and I'll respond to you after this live stream. Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, you know, one more thing I did want to mention is the Acequia system. You know, we think that originally it came from Spain, was brought to New Mexico, but truthfully, the Acequia culture has its roots in North Africa. And it was culturally transferred to the Spanish when the Moors invaded Spain. And so this Acequia culture, this system, goes back even further and connects to even more places, which is really amazing. You know, hornos and mud bricks have Islamic influence and was brought by the Spanish to New Mexico. So there's even more connections, like across the sea to other countries. Hello, Yuma, Arizona. I am an archaeologist and I used to do archaeology down there, and it was very hot. So you know, don't miss it. But hi, Ron. I hope that you're staying cool down there. Hello, Annette from Albuquerque. Good to see you. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And this video will be posted right after my live stream is done, so you can watch it over and learn more of the history. But so good to see you all. Thank you so much for joining me. And see you next week or the week after. Thank you.